All right, how's it going? I'm just working on a few different ideas of late, and so like I've got a few different principles going on. I've got like the fast stuff that everyone, however that is. That everyone sort of knows about. I've now got like the springy sort of strikes. I've got like the more well, that's a bit more springy, but flat out more powerful ones. Dead weighted, however that is. Then there's a full-on sort of like animalistic sort of, stuff. What else? Another principle I'm thinking of is like a pressing out, like prying away sort of movement. So if someone was grabbing onto me, it's like pressing away, like holding that expansion type movement. And obviously then the opposite to the expansive movement is like a contraction. So you can move out of the way, sort of be more passive. It might come into like deflecting sort of movements or avoidance, evasive sort of stuff, which sort of goes back to the like the bagua sort of stuff, but it's also the roo stuff. It's very light on the feet. What else? So yeah, fast, springy, the springy stuff, this sort of stuff, like looser sort of stuff too. What else? Yeah, like so more like heavy, like resting the weight. So like resting the weight on the opponent more type thing. Sort of like smothering, like if you had an arm sort of thing, you got your weight on it and dropping your weight in. So obviously it's all going to blend into like one thing. But if you're sort of learning these principles of like, they'd be like set things. So like the fast movements, yeah, it can be for parries, strikes. You can even block. You can even like do like every strike is a block, and every block is a strike type thing, like in a lot of different martial arts. But like if you're learning a principle of like the springiness stuff, like it might be, like doing a certain sort of block with a certain intention behind it, like that pressing or springing sort of movement, and obviously if you're just drilling it from like a classic sort of hip width type stance, then yeah, like there is sort of like this springiness, from the waist, from the legs, leading into other stuff. So block this way, block that way. If you're doing it by the numbers type thing, can block out, like out this way, out that way, type thing. I'm moving, try to keep it, this springiness sort of stuff happening, you know, and yeah, you might have a downwards one. So we've got inner, outer, probably an upwards one, down as well. So you can go up, you can go down. However, you know, if you're not going for that guard type thing, if you're just doing the classic, you know, the other hand sort of the hip here, you know, outwards, and again, this is just using the spring. This is just using that springing movement. You know, there'd be like the weighted movement. You know, more of a flick as well. You know, type stuff. Just flicking it up, flicking it down. You know, it's still sort of got that spring, I guess, but just working on that, and sort of like, even like if I was to do a block with like a yielding sort of movement. So I'm sort of riding that strike, and I suppose I'm using a different, you probably could just circle if you're doing it, trying to keep in that sort of hip width type stance. Just riding that, you know, riding that movement. But obviously it sort of makes more sense to ride it and to come offline in this way, you know. Again, this is sort of new shit. Like, this is new in a way, because you know, I start playing with the principles, and you know, because like creating a style, like, it's pretty vast. Yeah, there's many styles that have come before, and I've done many styles, but it's sort of like, yeah, making this my own sort of thing, you know what I mean? Because like that's not like what, you know, like a classic, it's not like a classic karate block, you know, coming in underneath, however you want to do it. There's different ways, like Kempo type stuff, all this sort of, you know, different sort of stuff. But that's not what I'm doing. I'm just sort of having the roof fist, which I use for like the rolling strike, uppercut, the back fist, the hook punch. I'm using that in the same, so it can be that way. And I like using the back here, because that hammer, you know, it sets up punch, like just a punch, come off here, back fist in. You know, there's so much different stuff you can do. And so yeah, like obviously, yeah, like, so that was sort of the more tensile sort of stuff. And then with all this stuff, you got rising and sinking and contracting and expanding, you know, contraction and expansion. So, and all that stuff goes into, like any sort of martial art, if you break it down. So an expansion or expanding movement here, right? Really, you contract. Within this expansion movement, it's like a contraction, expansion, even if you're this way. Back to contraction here, to expansion. So it's like, you've got these got these opposing forces going on. And when you analyse things, and if you ever were to break down your style and stuff like that, I've said it before, sort of thing. Yeah, you can just throw a punch, throw another punch, and just not think much about it. But someone like me that's creating a style, it's pretty important. Anyway, so just a similar sort of thing. Well, I don't know, I'm just trying to think like something that can come down. Then this could come down and be doing the block downwards. That opposing. So if we've got the springiness happening here, springing. However, you could even do it with, uppercuts or whatever. But so, if you've got this rocking back and forth here, just getting that move out type thing. Or even here, whatever. Something different like blocking across here. You're loading up in this hip. So here, out, here. Just some different stuff. And that's when it's more this tensile, this elastic sort of stuff going on. When it's just, there's still a little bit of that, it's like you can have this back and like this movement, and then you can have like the circular stuff as well. Circle, and then you can circle the other way. So this, these hands want to come out this way, they want to come in this way, just moving backwards and forwards sort of stuff. I don't know, I'm kind of just thinking on the spot a little bit. So yeah, that goes for anything. So here, you might have something coming here, come in, strike out with that, strike, stop. It's like a dead movement there. It's also what I was talking about earlier. You can have this rocking, springing, recoiling. I call it sort of recoiling motion. But if I have this recoiling motion here, for that, it's like that allows that to come out, recoil back here. But really, I'm applying another principle here. I'm expanding. I'm expanding here. So like this stuff's side to side type thing. Strike. Yep. It's an expansion into contraction into expansion. This then can press out whichever way, and that creates like a barrier if something's pressing in. So it's just like the opposite. You could feel that pressure could go against it, or you could feel that press coming in, allow it to come in, so you can then sort of fool the opponent in that way, I suppose. So if this is pressing out, got someone holding onto me or whatever, and then I like move or I collapse this in, he keeps coming, but might fall into this, might just keep this side out, collapse this side in for a strike, come over the top. And if they're close anyway, like I'm going for claws to the face, because this style, like it's pretty brutal. It's you got the prying elbows, you got the push, these powerful push punches, which a lot of the time I'm going to the chest, but really it's up here. It's punching to the nose. Bang! It's also palm strike to the nose, elbow. Grab on, grab on knee, rip down, elbow across this way, elbow upwards, hammer fist out. Talk about expansion and contraction. All right, so you might have been here with that pressing out, right? You come back, you could explode one of these forearms off, probably hitting up high somewhere possibly, and then collapse it in, just different stuff like that. You could be out here, you could be sort of bracing here type thing, and then you might push back and you might explode into a punch, into like a kick, front kick, into like a push, because there's all this other stuff that you can use, the backwards into forwards stuff, kick to the groin, hit, smack to the face, like smack up to the face, like palm here, grab on. Rip down, double punches. You're not gonna miss when you got two coming out. And so what? Like, yeah, they miss. They're up in the air. They're protecting. You got two things